Everyone, it's Kathy here from Kathy Loves to Scrap, and I'm bringing to you today another layout which I have just done, and this one is for Mystical Scrapbooks challenge for the month of February. This one here is the sketch challenge number 1, and this is the sketch that I am working with today, and I actually like how this turned out. I've used this layout for my daughter, who is a little bit of a clown, and as you can see, she loves to pull faces, so I take the photos, and not always to her liking. Alright, so let's get started. I've decided today that I'm going to use some simple stories, cardstock and pattern papers that I have had for a while. This one here is the Little Things series. They're the stickers. And I've got the chipboard, which is a requirement for the sketch challenge. And I've chosen to use some bright colours. And at first, red and yellow, you think, not such a good combination, but it actually comes out quite well. I ummed and ahed about which side of the pattern to use, but I think I'm going to go with the red and white, the B side. Often the B side's better. The yellow flowers I've had as on from previous one, it's a bit of scrap. I'm going to cut out one of those cameras, and I'm going to use this little tag from another piece that I have prepared. Here are the 2 photos I've chosen. Here's my daughter. We were on the Ferris wheel at Hunter Valley. So I'm going with a blue cardstock and a yellow cardstock. And once again, I'm just deciding which one I'm going to use as my base and which one I'm going to use as the panel from the sketch. And I think I'm going to go with the red and white dots at that stage, and then when I put all the colours together, I realise that's the best for the bottom. So I'm using the red and white dots from the the Simple Stories page, cutting off the strip as always because I don't need that. And I'm then going to trim off 1/4 of an inch on the top and the bottom so that when I put it on my frame it sits nicely and only reveals a small colouring of the frame. As you know, I always like to frame my layouts one way or another. This time I'm deciding I'm going to go with the yellow because the yellow is the base panels in between. I'm cutting out 1 inch all the way around the interior so that I can use the yellow from the centre for mounting later on in the project. Now that I've removed that, I lay down my frame, make sure that it's nice and flat, and I am going to now tape up what I'm using as my base. I use double-sided tape, as you know. I like to see it down nice and firm, particularly when building the layouts that are more than just one single layer. Sometimes the tape is a little bit fiddly to get off, but that's okay. I do that. 1 strip of tape at a time so that it is flat, that it doesn't buckle, and that I can line it up appropriately. Moving then around the frame 1 at a time to make sure that it's nice and flat and centered. Sometimes if you don't do that, you get some bubbles in it, or it doesn't line up properly, or it's not even. So I found that's the best method by doing it 1 at a time. Okay, so there's my base done now, and as you can see, it's nice and flat. Run my hands over the top to make sure that everything is down. Now I'm going to cut using the gingham or the checkered or the plaid, if you'd like to say, and I'm cutting it at 8 by 9.5, so that takes up a lot of the red, but it looks effective against that background. I'll just lay the photos out to make sure that I've got the right amount of cardstock in place. And then the yellow leftover scrap from a previous page, I'm going to cut off about 1 inch so that it fits in the panel nice and neatly there. And there I now have the bones, the bare bones of it. I've gone and found a scrap that I had from a layout from previously, and I'm using my Creative Memories circle punch, 1.5 inch punches to cut out of this paper. And this is a Page Taylor Evans scrap that I've had from a previous layout. I'm just going to lay out my circles to make sure that I have enough that go across the top. And as you can see, I like to lay things out and eyeball everything before I put it down permanently. I'm working with the scallop edge along the top and the bottom of the frame, as you can see on the page. And there they are there. I've still got to put in my banner part. So I've gone now and I've got a smaller, it's about a 3/4 inch punch of circles, and I'm cutting them all out. As you can see, I work in a little tight space and things are piled up and I really need to clean them up and put them away. Now that I've got my circles all punched out, I'm going to put those to the side. They're my little banner and I'm going to use those in a moment. With my bigger circles, I only need it as a scallop, so I'm going to cut them in half. And I'm lining them up on my Fiskars cutter using the guidelines. And when I've done that, I've now cut them in and I've got top and bottom circles to go at the bottom of the panel, which will form the scallops of the layout, top and bottom. I don't like it flat, so I'm using Tim Holtz's Mowed Lawn to edge it, to just give it a little bit of shadowing and giving it some definition to the layout. Once I've done that, I'm then going to add my tape to all the backings of my circles. And to make sure that I get it straight, I'm just going to use a lead pencil to mark out where the top and the bottom are, so that's where the bottom of my circles will sit, so that they fit nicely and form a straight line, and the paper will then marry nicely to it. So I'm just making an edge on this part of the plaid, so that's where I want the circle to start, half circles, and I'm now just going to lay them on. And because I've got that line there, I know exactly where they need to do, and I'm touching them tip to tip, and it's forming that scallop edge that you saw in the sketch. Now I've done down the bottom. Now I'm going to put in the plaid square. Everything lays in. I like to just eyeball everything, as I said, and then I start building the page when I'm happy with it. So that's round, actually the wrong way, so I'm going to put it in the right way. Oh, that eyelash fringe, it's a bit annoying. Okay, just didn't line up quite so well there, so I'm just straightening that. Now here's my little side panel, and that goes over there, and now you can see that my layout is just starting to come together. Alright, the next part that I need to do is put that little tag into place, because that's really important, and that's going to be for my title when I get around to putting it together. But it's also going to hold the banner, so I'm just making sure that the photos fit in with the tag going over the top. Yep, that sits nicely, as you can see, and it will look lovely. And the colours in the photos will be complemented by the mounting here. So my photos are 3.5 by 5, the favourite size that I tend to print now, because I don't have to trim them, and I fit nicely on a page. They follow the elements of designs, and it's the whole photo, so I actually like that size. I'm going to mount it first on the yellow, and then I will double mount it onto the blue so that it has that depth when you're looking at it. And the blue marries nicely to the background of the photos, and it drags it all together. So this is a slow process. I make sure that the tape is down firmly and it's acid free, which is great because we don't want it eating up our photos. Alright, let's have a look here. So now you can see that I've got both mounted, and I'm going to put it onto the blue cardstock now. Seems a long process, but as you know, I like to use a lot of tape because I want it to be flat. I don't want it to lift, and having experience over time, if it's not enough tape, it will lift and you will lose it. So putting in the first photo and the second photo, Now it looks like it's double mounted on a frame, and I'm just going to trim the edge here where I've being generous with the cardstock. Alright, so that's that step done. Now I'm going to work on the banner, because the banner is the next tricky part of this layout. It has to go across that top center. I'm going to put my photos down so they don't move or I don't lose them, which I have done many, many times when I've been working on layouts. Alright, I leave spaces to the sides just in case I want to tuck my embellishments in under the photo frame. And that's going to sit in. I love it when there's a guideline, the plaid or the checks that allow me to line it up nice and straight. Alright, using my pop tape, I'm just seeing whether it looks better with the pattern. No, it's a bit too busy, so I'm going to go back to the white and the red. I'm going to use my 1-hole punch here to punch in the hole of the tag. That's important because the banner string will go through there. Now that I have that done, I think I'm going to use probably some white thread to get through that. Not sure, white or red. I want it to loop across there, so it has to be fairly loose. And I want it to look effective. So, thinking about it, I will opt for the white. And I've just threaded my needle and I've gone with my awl and put holes into all of those little circles that I cut out before. And now I'm going to thread them onto the white cotton. And that's what I'm using. I use a needle because it's a lot easier to run it through that way. And I'm going to come from the back, which sometimes is easy to do and sometimes it's not. And then I'm going to go through to the front. That way I'm going to string it across. That gives it a support. So I'll go through the back and across the front, and then I just work my way across with all the circles. Just fiddle with them so that they sit flat across the string because I don't want it to buckle and I need it to go right across the page. Now I'm going to use my little bow awl, and this is a great tool if you've never seen it. I'm going to tie a bow where you go from around the back, underneath, and you tie a knot. And I've got big fingers and sometimes it's tricky, and then you get a perfect little bow. And I always find this tool to be very, very helpful when you want to work with those. Those poles can be moved across to the different dots that you see in the frame to allow for different size bows. It's really good with ribbons, makes nice tight little ones, or you can make big loose double looped ones. It's a great tool. Okay, now I'm going to use the needle to help me sew and tie this into a bow at the end here, and that's fastening the banner to the tag, so it's tying it all nicely. It's a little bit fiddly getting that bow right when you've got other bits as part of that string. Trim off the extra bits. Now, once again, that's called a bow awl, and I actually use that all the time. I'm going to now tape down my tag, put it into place before I center and align my banner. The tag's going in there, put it exactly into place, just over the corner of the photo. And now I spread this. I'm going to get my tacky glue in a moment, and I'm going to put a dab of that to the corner to hold the bow in place. Give it a bit of a push, and the best thing about tacky glue, it does hold. And I'm going to evenly space out the circles of the banner so that they come across the whole top panel, as you can see here. And when I'm happy with it, which it does require a little bit of fussing, I then will glue each of the circles with a little dot of glue to hold them in place so they don't move off the layout, and it actually sits nicely. But it looks like it's a free hanging banner, as you can see. Alright, now to build the clusters. I like to look at my layout and decide where I'm going to put them before I actually place everything. As you can see, it's all coming together, top, bottom, scholar, banner. So I've got another page, Taylor Evans page that I've got scraps of, and that's where I've cut my flower clusters from, and I fussy cut around them. I'm going to add a couple to the top banner to dress it up, and then I will put in a cluster of flowers at the bottom here, and I will then put another. I've got the heading from a Vicky Booten pack here. That's called Snapshots, because these are pretty good snapshots of my daughter. I fussy cut that little camera out of that scrap that I showed you earlier. I'm going to tuck that in under the title. I have another little cluster of flowers which I'm going to tuck over here at the top of the tag to tie it all together. And it's just missing a little something. It's a bit flat at the moment, so I'll just pop up these pieces with pop squares to make sure I don't lose any of the little pieces. And then I found these 2 tickets that I've gotten from Scrapasketc in the printable range, and they're the perfect colours. They actually match the layout nicely, and they were just sitting on my desk, so perfect find. They tie in the fact that this was the ride, the Ferris wheel. And now I'm just going to stick down those tickets into place. I'm going to put that flower with a bit of glue in there. Another ticket in place behind this flower cluster, which I'm popping up with pop tape to give it some dimension to the page and not make it look so flat. Now I'm going to use the chipboard here because that's the requirement, and I like these little hearts, so I'm placing them strategically, and you can see I put one pink one up the top there, and later on you'll see that I move things around and they're got. So my 2 little phrases have got Snapshots all about you, and the one that I put down the bottom says enjoy the moment. Alright, now I'm journal down here in the bottom, and it says Lily always goes one step further. She is a clown at heart. She is my youngest, and she likes to clown around. She thinks that I won't take the photo, but I do. And then she acts horrified that I would actually then scrap it. But whatever gets taken gets scrapped. And it's nice to use your own handwriting on a layout. Future generations would like to see how we write at this time, because who knows if they even will with technology the way it is going. Alright, so now I'm just going to do some faux stitching, like a running stitch across the edge here, so that it looks like I've stitched that scallop into place, and I'll run one along the bottom, and that adds that finishing detail across the bottom there. I'm now using some pops of colour, which are always good. I do add them across the page, and as I tried to flatten them to look like enamel dots, my hearts came off, so I'm gone around and glued them, and as you can see, that little pink heart has moved from over to the side and is now in the centre of the banner, and I've left that side clear, which looks okay. And there you can see all the elements of this layout that have come together. I'm pretty pleased with this. I've got my chipboard. I followed the sketch pretty closely to the actual sketch, but the final product with the brightness is so nice, and reflects her vivid personality through the vivid colours. Alright, so this is the final layout. Thank you for watching. If you like it, please don't forget to like me and subscribe. Hope something here inspires you. Don't forget to join us on Mystical Scrapbooks on Facebook for the challenges. Please follow me along with all my layouts at my Instagram page, and I look forward to sharing the next project with you in the future. See you next time. Thanks for watching.